When I do see the news on South Africa, it's a lot of tension, between the white and the black population here.
So my family has been here obviously since, a few generations already. They are South Africans, all of them, the whole generation. We just knew that the black people had their own area where they lived. I think racism in South Africa is we are better. And a lot of the white South Africans struggled with it in the beginning. There's always going to be a little faction that is still racist. Some of the black people, for instance, they will have a big party and slaughter animals.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man Jackson Cooper, and we are live from Johannesburg, South Africa. Now today we have a very special video for you guys. We have a South African, a white South African, that we are going to be interviewing today. Let's get to know her and know about what it's like as a white South African living today. How are you doing? What's your name?
Hi, my name is Elmarie, and we are here in Fourways, South Africa.
Beautiful. Now, we're going to be hearing a lot more from Miss Elmarie. We're going to give her the microphone. We're just going to ask some questions that I think people want to know coming from a white South African. And without further ado, let's get into it. But can you just give us more of a background on your come up in South Africa and how long has your family been here?
Okay, so my family has been here obviously since, a few generations already. So they are South Africans, all of them, the whole generation. I was actually born in the era, so I'm a 76 baby. Okay. So in 1994, when the first elections took place with Nelson Mandela, I actually couldn't vote. I did turn 18 that year, but the elections were, I think, a month or two before my birthday, so I couldn't vote. I think the perception of the whole political standing in South Africa is that there's a lot of division. And it's actually not true. South Africans have this thing called Ubuntu. We look after each other. I think the government likes to, I think any government likes to, tell people that there's division. But we don't have that. Normal people in South Africa, we get along really well. We look after each other when we can. And obviously there's the Springboks that bring us all together, you know?
This is very interesting, guys. Now, this might be a longer interview because I have a lot of questions.
That's fine.
So what is a Springboks?
So the Springboks are our rugby team. And we are all very patriotic when it comes to the Springboks. Nelson Mandela was a great man. I always get goosebumps when I talk about him. He really did an amazing thing for this country. He knew how important rugby was as a culture, as an Afrikaner culture for us as well. And he used rugby to unite the nation, to show everyone that, you know what, we're actually just people. And that's why I love that we call it the Rainbow Nation, because that is exactly what we are. We have so many different cultures, so many different languages. And we all just, I think it's a little bit of paradise, yeah, South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
South Africa is like a melting pot.
Yes.
Now, the world looks at South Africa, depending on your viewpoint, many different ways. We can start with apartheid. Now, you said that you were here for generations. What are your feelings on apartheid, and are there still any remnants of that going on now?
Definitely not any more remnants. I think a lot of white South Africans, when Nelson Mandela took over the first time, there was a lot of reform, and a lot of the white South Africans struggled with it in the beginning. But I think for the most part, we are a very united nation. I think racism in South Africa is not really a big thing for us anymore. We're just normal people. And I think you get it everywhere in the world where the news says, oh, this is so terrible and this is happening. But the normal man on the street, yeah, we're all struggling. We're all trying to make a living. So we're not really as divided, I think, as maybe the world thinks.
Now that I can think about it, though, when I do see the news on South Africa, it's a lot of tension, between the white and the black population here. And I see stuff about Boers, I don't really know what none of that means. So what is that?
The white South Africans were usually the Boere. So the Boere were mainly the farmers.
Okay.
But it was sort of a general term that was used for the white South Africans, the Boere.
Okay.
There was, and I'm sure there's always going to be a little faction that is still racist. But I think, especially where my generation, where we come from, we've been through, and apartheid. I never grew up with racist parents. We just knew that the black people had their own area where they lived. And when I was growing up, we didn't understand what apartheid really was because we didn't understand about separating whites and blacks in bathrooms and all of that. We were kids. I only learned a lot about our history later on in life. So for me, I didn't really grow up in a very racist environment. I think the elections were great because we needed to make a change. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is before South Africa became a republic, we were a British colony. And we inherited the segregation. So I think in the beginning, we meant to do good with it because it was about allowing people to have their own areas and their own culture. Especially in South Africa, we have so many different cultures. Right. Some of the black people, for instance, they will have a big party and slaughter animals. So imagine throwing that into a white neighborhood where... So do you understand? So, it doesn't happen now anymore, but I think in the beginning, it was literally just about trying to respect everyone's culture. Yes. And it went too far. Because then it became a thing of we... or better. And it was never supposed to be that.
This is very interesting. This is a lot of information. Now, I wanted to state, too, that when you said that you didn't grow up with the racist parents, I have to be honest, like, race is a big deal, especially being a black man. It's just different for me. But I can tell just from being around you this short amount of time that you don't have that energy.
No.
And I can say that to your face. This is giving me a different look, guys, because listen, I didn't know what to expect coming here. You understand?
Yeah, I get it.
Do you guys celebrate Thanksgiving here in South Africa?
So Thanksgiving is what you guys do with the turkey. When do you do that? Before Christmas?
Yeah, so I think it's like next week, the 26th of every November.
No, we don't do that. No, it's not a South African thing. For us, the big holidays are Easter.
Okay.
If you look at the Christian holidays.
Yes, ma'am.
And then obviously Christmas Eve and Christmas. So I think, Thanksgiving, we are all aware of it. It's the same as Halloween. We don't celebrate Halloween, yeah. Okay. People literally just dress up a little bit, and some people do it and some people, but it's not as big of a thing as it is with you guys. Yeah.
Okay, so say somebody wanted to visit South Africa, right? And they've never been. What city would you suggest that they go to first? And what should they do upon arrival?
Well, Cape Town is always a big one because it is one of our big destinations because of Table Mountain. That's a great one. But while you're in Cape Town, try and visit the wine farms. We've got beautiful wine farms up there. We've got the Knysna Forest. Books have been written that I had to read when I was in school about the Knysna Forest. So there's beautiful places to see all up and around the coast. Small little places, big places. And then definitely, if you haven't been to South Africa, you've got to do the northern part of South Africa where the game farms are. You've got to go on a game drive. You've got to do the sundowners. You've got to see the Big Five.
Wow. Guys, so basically when she says that, she's saying go on a safari.
Oh, yes. You got to have a braai at least once, and you got to have biltong. You have to do that when you come to South Africa.
Now, I'm going to do my research, but I don't know what any of that is. So, like, can you break down exactly what that means?
So when you go to South African braai, we have usually an open fire. We're very big on our braais and all sorts of meat. Okay. We get quite into that, and then so the men braai and the women make all the sides. And we make some beautiful South African dishes, and then biltong, of course, is like beef jerky, but better. So your beef jerky is quite dry.
I don't eat it, but yeah, it's dry.
Yeah, so ours is more of a cured, moist meat, with a little slice of fat on it, and it's just absolutely I can literally live on biltong alone.
She's making me very hungry right now, guys. That sounds amazing. Just imagine like eating that and then going on like a game drive, or like going on a game drive, and then Africa just has so many like opportunities, it seems like.
I think the people look. There's obviously a lot of problems. The government's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and people are getting fed up. But I think everyone has the same problems everywhere.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, we've got wonderful people in South Africa. The guys that do the game drives, they're so knowledgeable on the bush. I mean, even our street vendors are incredible people. We have such a diverse multitude of different kinds of people. It's incredible.
Your history. So you said that you've been here for generations, but like where at in Europe did your family come from?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I'm sure. Actually, I must ask my dad because he was busy putting a family tree together. So it would be interesting. I know that my parents, my father's parents, came from Botswana, which is sort of a neighboring country of South Africa, and in those years, it was still part of South Africa. So, but I'm not 100% sure where all the ancestors came from.
Now that right there is very interesting because that really shows that there are really deep roots with white South Africans. Like if you don't, because I would always think that at first, like I thought you guys were kind of German, but then I was like, no. So is it more Dutch here or?
Could be, but I mean, we have a lot of English South Africans that, like Grant, for instance, his parents are South African, but his grandparents came from the UK.
Really?
Yes. So, it's interesting. So they are English people that immigrated years ago. Actually, it's probably his great-grandparents were English and then immigrated here, and that's how his line started. His surname is Watson Smith. So in South Africa, if you hear that surname, we are all family. That's how few of us there are.
Wow.
But on my dad's side, the family is quite big because, South Africans in those days had lots of kids. I think my dad is one of 14 kids. And on my mom's side, the same. So I don't know half my cousins, half my uncles. There's just too many of them.
The future of South Africa. How do you see the future of South Africa? Because since I've been here, there's been one day where the water was off. And I was like, wow, like Johannesburg is like a major city. So for like the water to be off is kind of strange.
Yeah, luckily it's not the whole of Joburg. It's basically suburb based. And this area that we're sitting in Fourways is quite an old suburb. So a lot of the infrastructure is deteriorating. So that is some of the problems that we have as South Africans that live in these old suburbs, is that there hasn't been, in the 30 years that we've had independence, there hasn't been a lot of maintenance on the infrastructure. So especially Fourways, unfortunately, is well known for every once in a while we have no water.
Wow. So you said 30 years since independence. Like, what is the independence from?
Basically 1994, we see that as independence because that's when we held our first elections for the whole country, and that's when President Nelson Mandela was elected. So for us, it is like an independence, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Well, I hope that I got every questions answered. Do you think that I missed anything? Because I don't want to waste this opportunity.
No, look, how long are you in Joburg for? I'm just around the corner. If you think of anything else, we can always to be continued,
I think that people are going to like this interview, personally. So, make sure that you guys hit the like button on this. She was very, very nice for stopping by and doing this for us. And I really want to thank you.
It's a pleasure. Anytime.
So, guys, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, from Johannesburg, South Africa, how do we say goodbye in Afrikaans?
Tot ziens.
Toesens. Peace.